Of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Tuesday. The Phillies just hitting bombs left and right in this game. I got to tell you guys, Schwarber's hit 2 home runs. Jake Cave has hit a homer. Alec Boehm hit a bomb. I mean, this team is just teeing off on the Nationals. You know, the game didn't look like it was going to be too good early on when Zach Wheeler gave up a couple home runs himself, got down 3-0. But Wheeler settled in, and now the Phillies offense is just picking this team up. I mean, Schwarber's at bat again. Oh, man, he tried to hit a 3rd home run right there. He swung so hard at that pitch. Struck him out. Phillies lead 8-3, by the way, in the bottom of the 6th inning. We'll keep you updated through the hour here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Plus, we got some Eagles to get into. Chris Franklin from NJ.com, NJ Advanced Media Eagles beat writer will join me coming up in less than 20 minutes from now. As always, you can join the conversation at 609-403-0973. That is the text board. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. So, Phillies are currently up 8-3. And I feel like this game is the embodiment of what the Phillies expected of this team coming out of the deadline. Dave Dombrowski was on the Starkville podcast, the Athletic podcast with Jason Stark and Doug Glanville. And one of the things he talked about, and we played some of the audio earlier today on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill, but one of the things he talked about was one of the reasons why they didn't make the trades that people like me wanted them to make, we saw play out in this game. And it was Yohan Rojas getting on base, an errant throw, and you could argue that Rojas going from first to second was kind of the first domino for the Phillies. And if the Phillies would have done what people like me said and go out and gotten an Adam Duvall or whoever, Rojas would not be playing a game like today. And you saw Rojas's impact on this game already in the field, playing defense, on the base paths. You wouldn't get that if Dombrowski would not have listened to his people, because he talks about how, hey, you know, we weren't going to give up too much to get a guy like that. Well, hear what Dombrowski had to say about Rojas. By the way, Rojas goes to second base as the ball gets past the catcher. So there's that speed again popping up. Dave Dombrowski in the Starkville podcast said this.
So we talked about it, but we have ultimately came down to, we like the way our group settles here. We can win with this group. We can catch the ball out there. And look, for example, Rojas, he may not hit the ball out of the ballpark at this stage of his career, although he has power. But he's a guy that reminds me of the old St. Louis Cardinal days when we used to play back with him. He can get a little chopper in the infield, and he's on first base. That's how well he runs. And then all of a sudden he's on second because he can steal. And then all of a sudden he saves a run because he catches a ball in the gap. So it's a little bit different way of looking at it. But we thought we were able to achieve that by using that combination in left field and rather than going out and getting somebody.
And Rojas is a perfect example. Now he's on third base after Alec Boehm grounded out. It's a perfect example of how the Phillies look at their team differently than the rest of us. That we look at it as, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that. But the Phillies internally view their team differently than the rest of us do. And look, Rojas is not having the impact on a game like this if they went out and acquired some right-handed hitting guy to play in left field. And guess what? Jake Cave doesn't hit that home run today if that guy is playing in left field, because there's no guarantee that the guy that you get to play left field, whether it's like an Adam Duvall or a guy like Teoscar Hernandez or whoever, there's no guarantee that those guys are going to have the impact on this game that Rojas has had in recent weeks. And I think it's a great example of how sometimes it's better to be patient than it is to go out and get a bunch of players. And Dombrowski talked about on the podcast something very important, because he talked about the Phillies and said, look, I remember back when I was the Marlins GM, and he talked about how the Marlins went out and got Darren Dalton, but they also acquired Craig Counsell. And I thought that when Dombrowski said this, it was a great testament to the context that we all need to have, myself included, when it comes to talking about baseball.
Because that's what I think it's so important, that you know your club and what you need. And sometimes you need a right-handed hitter. Sometimes there's a superstar. But like I said, back when I was with the 97 club, we didn't need any more stars. We had so many stars. We needed somebody to get the uniform dirty that could improve us at second base, and that was Craig Counsell.
And that's really the Phillies' perspective right now. They feel like they have enough stars. They feel like there's enough dudes on this team. Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, Nick Castellanos. We're paying these guys a crazy amount of money this year. We need these guys to step up. We need these guys to play up to their resumes. I mean, you just go off of the Phillies' salaries this season. Harper and Turner combined for $54 million. Real Muto gets you to $77 million. Castellanos gets you to $97 million. Schwarber's another 20. So that's $117 million. So you have $117 million committed to Schwarber, Castellanos, Real Muto, Turner, and Harper. So for the Phillies, they say, we got stars. We got all the bats that we should need. We need somebody else. We need something else. And maybe the biggest acquisition at the deadline wasn't the guy who they literally acquired. Maybe the big acquisition for the Phillies was just having Rojas. Maybe Rojas is that catalyst, thorn in your side kind of player that can go out there and have an impact on games. Because I told you guys a couple of weeks ago, I asked the question here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Tuesday night. I asked the question of you guys previously. I said, if this team just goes out, plays good defense, has good pitching, and plays basically small ball, and that gets into the postseason, how do we feel about that? Do we look at that differently? Do we treat this Phillies team differently if they're not hitting home runs? Now, today, obviously, a game like today, Schwarber hits 2 home runs. Bohm hits a blast. Jake Cave hits a ball deep center field. A game like today, yes, my perspective on the team is going to be a little not falling in line with that question. But we talked about this previously here on 97.3 about how the Phillies have not had a lot of series this year where they have scored 5 or more runs in 3 straight games. And they've really only done it 3 times the entire season, according to Baseball Reference. So if they're not a team that's going to consistently put up big runs, then do we need to accept that this is a team that's going to win with small ball? And maybe that's where a guy like Rojas comes in. Maybe that's where a guy like Lorenzen comes in. Maybe that's where the Phillies said, look, we're not trying to out-hit everybody anymore. You know, the idea that we're going to go out there and play defense. We're going to go out there and not worry about all the home runs. Dave Dombrowski on the Starkville podcast said this.
And we had always talked about that unless the right individual came available, that we have Marsh playing center field. Now he's out for a short time period, but he'll be back. We had Pache coming back. We really like the young kid Rojas, and we like his defense and of course his speed. So are we going to go all out to add that left fielder, or are we going to be dependent upon who's there more so? And we really decided that we really were going to have to get enamored with the name that was out there, because we know that we can play defense, which hasn't been, let's say, the Philly outfield tradition here in recent years. But we did have with Marsh and Pache and this Jay Cave, who was tearing up AAA for us and has had some big league experience. And then Rojas, we knew we could play defense with anybody in Major League Baseball with that group. And we also have speed.
Speed, defense, pitching. Sounds like a good formula to me. I think the Phillies have an idea. They have an identity of what the way they want to play. Are they going to lean on some of their guys a little more? Sure. Are they going to depend on their best players stepping up? Absolutely. And it kind of is a similar situation with a team in the same city like the Eagles. The Eagles are going into this season leaning on their players. They're saying, look, just because we're replacing Javon Hargrave with Jalen Carter, and we're replacing CJ Garner-Johnson and Marcus Epps with Reed Blankenship and fill in the blank. Okay? Just because we are replacing Miles Sanders with Rashad Penny and DeAndre Swift, just because we're starting a new right guard next to Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson, we as an organization are saying we still have Jalen Hurts, we still have Jason Kelsey, we still have Lane Johnson, we still have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, we still have Brandon Graham and Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick and Darius Slay and James Bradbury. The Phillies and the Eagles are taking a similar position. They're saying, stop worrying about our weakest link. We believe our strengths are bigger than our weaknesses. We believe that what we do best is greater than what we don't do as well. And I think that is what is interesting about this upcoming season for the Eagles. Because you see a Phillies team that is saying, look, we have invested $117 million in Harper, Turner, Castellanos, Realmuto, and Schwarber this year. And that is an amazing play by Alec Boehm on the baseline, just not the baseline, the foul line. I want basketball in there for you. Down the foul line, just snagging that line drive in midair. That's the benefit of being about 6'5", right? You got that kind of length, that kind of range. I'm not 6'5". I can't do that. That's for sure. Actually, to be fair, I was never really a great fielder when I played baseball. So, but back to the Phillies and the Eagles, you have an organization, the Phillies, that's saying, hey, we are leaning on our guys to do their job. And the Phillies are saying, look, we need our stars to step up. Eagles are saying the same thing. Look, the other pieces are just part of the bigger picture. We don't need those guys to be our best players. We just need them to not lose us any games. And for a team like the Eagles and for the Phillies, as long as their lesser players don't lose them any games, and as long as they continue to be part of a winning formula, they feel pretty good about their teams. We'll get your text a little bit later this hour, 609-403-0973. But coming up on the other side, we'll dig more into the Eagles with Chris Franklin, NJ Advanced Media, Eagles beat reporter, next with the latest from training camp. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle.
This is the radio home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles open the 2023 preseason this Saturday night in Baltimore against the Ravens.
Up the middle, he's in for the touchdown.
Oh, straight ahead.
Eagles radio network coverage begins at 6 p.m. with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick calling all the action starting at 7. This is where the Philadelphia Eagles play. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's official Eagles station.
Hey, it's Mike Gill. Trio North Wildwood is where casual elegance meets delectable dining. Experience the perfect blend of comfortable atmosphere and gourmet cuisine. Savor our chef-inspired dishes made with the freshest ingredients, featuring options for all tastes. Treat yourself to a night out at Trio North Wildwood and indulge in the ultimate dining experience. Reservations on Resi. Don't miss out on the taste sensation that is Trio North Wildwood. 700 New Jersey Avenue, North Wildwood. Chef-driven, quality-focused, TrioNW.com.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Go to nomoredraftywindows.com for full offer details.
Attention all homeowners. Do you know when to replace your windows? Feeling too hot or cold? It's time to replace. Fog between the glass. Time to replace. Spending too much on expensive energy that literally goes out the window? It's definitely time to replace. If you've put off replacing windows in your home because it's too expensive, here's great news. You can now get a free in-home window consultation and free price quote from Renewal by Andersen, the company with the most 5-star reviews among leading full-service window replacement companies. And right now, you can save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. Just text PLACE to 200-300 for your free consultation on top-quality affordable windows or patio doors for $0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for a year. That's right. You don't pay a dime for an entire year. Plus, save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. But hurry, these big dollar savings end this month. Text PLACE to 200-300 right now. Text the word PLACE to 200-300. Don't wait. Text PLACE to 200-300.
Okay, class, our first lesson is math. 0 plus 0 plus 0 equals...
One heck of a great deal.
The math is simple at Matt Blatt Kia. Put 0 down, pay 0 interest, and make 0 payments for 90 days on every new Kia in stock. Or get up to $8,000 off MSRP on every 2023 EV6 GT in stock. Stuck in a loan or lease? Matt Blatt Kia can get you roll leased so you can drive your new Matt Blatt Kia with 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for 90 days. And we finance your future, not your past. Even first-time buyers can drive with peace of mind with our exclusive 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, not all will qualify. Go to mattblackkianj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes through Cap 1. Excludes EVs. 36 months at $27.77 per thousand. To Tier 1 customers. Expires 9/5/23. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township. And now on Route 37 in Toms River.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just 1 dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Hey, this is Josh from 97.3 ESPN. If your air conditioning isn't keeping you cool, or if you're worried about sky-high electric bills, I recommend you call Jenkins Plumbing and Heating today about a new system from American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning or a Mitsubishi ductless system. Take advantage of financing of up to $15,000 from South Jersey Gas or Atlantic City Electric. New AC system can save you 25 to 35% on your AC bill. Call Jenkins at 609-641-6440, online at jenkinsandsons.com.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig, 3 ESPN, and the free mobile app.
We'll get your text just a bit later in the hour, 609-403-0973. That is the text board. I want to get into some Eagles talk now. I mean, this is football season now. I know we don't have any official games yet, but considering almost 7 million people watched an NFL preseason game of no consequence, which was double than most NBA playoff games and most Major League Baseball games. Yeah, football is big, man. And the Eagles are back, and we got a lot of things we're keeping an eye on over at training camp with the Eagles. First preseason game this Saturday. Merrill Reese, Mike Quick on the call right here on your home for the Eagles in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN. Chris Franklin covers the Eagles for NJ Advanced Media and NJ.com. And Chris joins us now on the Elite Acura Hotline here on 97.3 ESPN. Chris, welcome back in. How you doing on this Tuesday?
Hey, man, I'm doing great, man. Training camp's still rolling along, and I get to talk to you, so I'm enjoying it even more. So I'm doing well, man.
Well, we appreciate you jumping back on. So let's first start with the defensive side of the ball, because obviously a lot of people are curious about Miles Jack and Zach Cunningham, two guys who were, as Nick Sirianni said, they were both big guys that you watched out for in the AFC South years ago, and now both of them were kind of just meddling veterans on the free agent market, and now they're coming in here to deal with, as Nick Sirianni said to you guys in the media on Sunday, position that needed some depth.
Yeah, and the funny thing was today we saw practice. The Kobe Dean is still out with that ankle injury. You saw Miles Jack running with the one today. It was like, once a minute, weren't they going to ease him in a little bit? See what's going on? Yeah, it looks kind of like a depth thing as well. When you look at when you do that, I mean, you needed some. You did need like a linebacker, maybe. I didn't expect two, but you need at least one, I think, just to give a veteran presence in there. Because going into it, yeah, Morrow who's had 6 seasons of experience, but after that, yeah, Sean Bell before. Everybody else had 2 seasons or less. So you needed somebody in there like that. Just to guide them a little bit. I didn't expect Zach Cunningham and Miles Jack to be here, but hey, it looks like at this point right now, they're in serious contention to get some run.
So Nakobe Dean's number one linebacker, right? We're just doing for discussion's sake, right? So if he's number one, and most people believe Sean Bradley is going to make this team because of what he does in front of you. So who are the other linebackers? Is there a chance that maybe Cunningham and Jack could be in position to both maybe make this team?
I wouldn't be having them, because I think especially signing those guys and having them come in this part of camp, you kind of give a little nudge like, hey, you can get some time, you can play right now. So I'm looking at the point fact of maybe it's Morrow who's the guy out, because the one thing you got to take into consideration for all these guys, you're on the roster, just the rest of the veterans. If you're on the roster in our first week one, your whole entire salary is guaranteed. Now it's not a lot. Granted, what they're making is not earth shattering or not. It won't count them much for the cap. It still adds up. So the guarantee, I could see one guy, see either Morrow or Cunningham or Jack. Even Jack, I think Morrow is between Morrow and Cunningham being the one who's the odd man out, and they may go with 5 just because they're still very high on Christian Ellis as well too. If anybody, he's been the one that's made some standout plays in camp. So they got some tough decisions to make at that position.
So should we expect to see Miles Jack and Zach Cunningham play on Saturday?
I think it looks like it's trending too, because when you look at it as well too, we know how much the team values those joint practices, and they have those coming up with the Browns, and they've lost a day of rest because they moved the game from Friday to Saturday. So you're starting to wonder, okay, sometimes they value the joint practices more in the preseason games. Are you going to you need bodies to play at their position? So I wouldn't be surprised to see them get their feet wet. And if you just go by the indications from today, I know it's just one practice and just started out to, but if you go by indications, maybe Jack doesn't play as much. Maybe you see Cunningham a little bit more along with the other guys to go on for the rest of the game.
The reason I'm asking that, Chris, is because you know how the Eagles value guys who could play special teams, guys who could do multiple things. And I'm curious, Jack and Cunningham are not guys who I personally would think of at this point in their careers as special team guys. But do you think it's possible that one of them could end up being a guy who could be a depth linebacker and a special teams guy? Because that's how Christian Ellis got playing time last year.
Yeah, one of them's going to have to be it. I mean, you don't want to waste the roster spots. They're very limited, especially game day rosters are extremely limited. So they're going to have to become that. And when you look back into their past, I believe, and I may have it mixed, I apologize. One of them, I believe it was Jack, was the only played a handful of special teams, like on kickoff coverage, and the other one was on punt return coverage, and it was about, I want to say combined, maybe less than about, I'd say less than maybe 100 snaps in their career. So you're not looking at guys who are used to that. So I wouldn't be surprised if they say, hey, you know what, you're going to make the team, but the one thing you have to do is you have to learn to play kick coverage, and with the new kickoff rules, and unless they're going to do squib kicks and try to force teams to run it, it pretty much is just running quick sprints just to show you're running down the field, and the ball's going to be on the 25 anyway. So that's maybe where a place you can stick them at and just say, hey, you're special teams now, learn this.
I mean, it's interesting because I can't speak to. I don't remember a lot of Zach Cunningham at Vanderbilt. Honestly, I don't watch a ton of Vanderbilt football, to be frank. But I did remember Miles Jack. He did everything at UCLA. He played linebacker. He played running back. He did some special teams. So I feel like if anyone could have the flexibility, it would be an athlete like Jack. Not to say that Cunningham couldn't do it, but I don't remember Cunningham having the kind of background of a guy who did more than just be a linebacker.
No, it's the thing for me personally. I thought they would go with Cunningham more at that starting will spot, because I like the way that he plays coverage. I think he's allowed a lower completion percentage. He has the speed enough. He's not going to be a world beat. Neither of these guys, Jack or Cunningham, are not going to be all pro based off of their coverage skills, but at least they're good enough to keep everything in front of them and at least make things a little difficult. And Cunningham does that a little bit better than Jack, in my opinion. So I was shocked that he was getting run with the second team and Jack was working with the first team. But yeah, it's they need, and also I think you needed a little bit more experience, because the size, using that man match system in the second level, in the secondary, to try to do the coverage, and it helps to have experience to see what's coming along, and you want to mix things up. And you don't want somebody who maybe doesn't have as good of a feel for the game or still learning a little bit to have an affinity. And that's how you get the blown coverages. So I think that's another reason why they're here too.
Talking with Chris Franklin, covers the Eagles for NJ Advanced Media. Check out his coverage of the Eagles over at NJ.com. He's joining us right now on the Elite Acura Hotline. Josh Hennick here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Now, Chris, staying on the defensive side of the ball, the position that I am most fascinated by on the team is safety, because I feel like there's a conversation that can be made for any of those guys to get playing time. And yet for a lot of people out there, they were assuming, I mean, come on, Chris, we all know, we are on Twitter. We know the Eagle fans, you got to get Buda Baker, right? Well, the problem is that you already have about 4 or 5 guys who all can play safety. What is your take right now on the safety situation?
I think that's the behind linebacker. That's the biggest question mark in this. I think overall this team, and I'm looking at it, and you see they're mixing and matching a lot. For so far, if I had to go and say season starts today, it looks like your starting safeties are going to be Terrell Edmonds and Reed Blankenship. I mean, they've gotten most of the first team snaps through OTAs so far in training camp as well too. But the thing that surprised me the most is that Kayvon Wallace has gotten a lot of snaps for the first team, a lot. And they thought highly of him. He's played his best ball since he's been with the team. And it's camp stuff. He started to feel this. I really want to see how he does in this upcoming game against the Ravens, because I think he can solidify himself. And we also know the side. The side is going to use a lot of big nickel. And we've seen it a lot so far in camp. We've seen the three safety formations, and them sneaking Sidney Brown in. Brown's getting a lot more looks now with the second team defense. He's moved up from third to the second. And I think they're still trying to ease him into it. Eventually, when all said and done, I think they eventually want Sidney Brown to be lined up to either Reed Blankenship or Edmonds, either one of those guys. But there's still a lot of questions. They're still mixing and matching. They haven't found that solid pair that seems like they like. But it's it'd be nice to see Buda Baker walking through that door, but that ship is sailed, I think, on that one. But there's still a lot of question marks coming into this season.
I gotta be honest though, if my starting safeties week 1 for the Eagles are Edmonds and Blankenship, I'm not feeling that great, Chris. And it's not because I think either guy's a bad player. I just think both guys are too similar players to be out there, and not to be mean, but I can see either one of them getting beat on a deep pass.
I think when I look at Blankenship, I think if they're playing a single high, I don't have too much trepidation with Blankenship being that guy. I mean, he's shown some good some ball instincts. There's debatable. I mean, amongst the beat writers, a majority of us are calling it as an incomplete pass because it was a sack by Janarius Robinson, but he went halfway through the field and caught the ball inbounds. Would have been a pickup for Jalen Hurts. So he's seeing the ball well. He's tackling. You want to see him be more sure tackle and be consistent in that. But I have no problem with him when it comes to the coverage part. I think Edmonds is more of a box safety, and if he's singled up and you try to go more deep on that, that's where I think you may have. That's where I think the questions will come into, especially if say they're playing the Chiefs and Travis Kelce's matched up 1-on-1 against them. Yeah, and that's where you start to have a little. Your stomach starts to turn a little bit when you see that. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if they start using 2-3, cover 3 a lot to see that, or at least try to use more of that big nickel so they can go man under and have those two just play deep.
Just for humoring me's sake, I know there are some people in the audience, Chris, who are still concerned about how the Eagles are replacing Javon Hargrave, despite all the times I've told people, Chris, that Jalen Carter is legit. Tell folks about Jalen Carter at training camp.
Well, I'll say this. He started out, it goes one day you look at Jalen Carter making a rush, it's like, wow, you see that power. I mean, and especially early on. And then it came to, I think he realized, hey, he's the rookie. He started to catch up. It looks like he's thinking a little bit too much. Today, he wasn't thinking at all. He was just letting that athleticism go and that power go. He had a rep against Jason. He had a rep against Jason Kelce. I was like, okay, yeah, you had a little power. And he also had a rep against now I'm drawing a blank. But he had another guard where he's basically pushed him right back to where the quarterback would have been. And you see the traits that why the Eagles wanted to trade up to get him. I think you see a lot of that power. And if they use that 4-man rush, if they use a 5-man line, I really like him next to Jordan Davis on the opposite side, because when you have that going, you can't slide the line into either side.
Right.
And you still have Jordan Davis, who I've seen improve as well in his pass rush as well, too. He's starting to draw 2 people when it comes to blocking, too. I like what I saw there. If he gets 2 guys on him, now you got Jalen Carter 1-on-1 against and a guard. I'll take that matchup any day. So he started out slow. He's starting to put it together a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he started out slow because in the regular season, because he's just trying to get his head around everything, trying to get acclimated. He's a rookie still. So I wouldn't be surprised if he started out slow, but he picks up quickly as the season goes along.
Well, he can't start out too slow because he's my pick for rookie defensive player of the year. So.
Hey, you know what? I mean, Sheldon Richardson only had 3.5 sacks, and he wound up being the defensive rookie of the year that year. So, hey, you never know. It just takes the right combination of people to be on that ballot.
Well, I mean, also the other thing is, I mean, you know this as well as anybody, Chris. I mean, you've been covering the Eagles for a while. The Eagles get a lot of QB pressures, but not always a ton of sacks at times. Certain guys, like how many years it's been Brandon Graham doesn't have a ton of sacks, but he has a bunch of QB pressures, so. If Carter goes out there and has like 5 sacks and like 20 QB pressures, I think it's a pretty darn good season.
Well, let's take that in a heartbeat. Because in the end, especially in the way his defense, even last year's defense, the way it's shaping out, it's the edge rushers that should be eating in this thing. It really should be the edge rushers that are getting all the sacks, because everything quarterbacks can't step up. They gotta roll out the pocket somewhere, and they hope that Hassan Reddick or Josh Sweat sitting right there in their face, like, yeah, okay, they take them down that way, and they're piling up the sacks. So, yeah, it's possible, and that's why those two, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, they need to have big seasons to make this defense go.
Talking with Chris Franklin from NJ Advanced Media, Eagles beat writer over at NJ.com here on the Elite Acura Hotline. Chris, I'm going to ask you about a position that most people are not talking about. It's the backup tight end, because you got a lot of bodies all competing for a roster spot. I mean, you got Dan Arnold and Grant Calcaterra and Tyree Jackson and Jack Stoll and Brady Russell. I mean, they're not all going to make this team. So what is your synopsis of the tight ends and how many you actually think the Eagles will keep?
I think they keep 3 again, just because you have the numbers when you're looking at other spots. Then the offensive line, looking at corner, I think they keep 3. And that's where I think Stoll's your backup, or your tight end 2. Because when you look at all those tight ends, the 2 best blockers on the team are Goddard and Stoll. And when you look at what you want Goddard out in those routes. You want him to be the one that's going out there and trying to make plays downfield. And so you need another tight end when you're 12 personnel, and that's Stoll. He's a legitimate blocker. Hurts started to build a little bit of trust with him in the passing game we saw when Goddard was out. It wasn't anything earth-shattering, but the fact that he was going to him and trying to involve him in the offense, I think was a big thing. So I think he's your tight end too. It's going to come down to Grant Calcaterra and Dan Arnold, in my opinion, and when it comes to blocking. I think Tyree Jackson's a dark horse in this. He's still making a lot of plays toward the sideline. He's doing his route running. It's a matter of him becoming an all-around tight end and doing the blocking, because you can and staying healthy too, because you can envision him in a red zone scenario making plays down there with all those other bigger receivers, and it's a nice target to have. But when you're saying you're on 40 or on fourth and or on third and short or fourth and short, and you need him to stay a tight end, if you want 3 tight ends and you need a block, no. Say Arnold's not a great pass blocker, but he can run routes. He's a veteran presence on there. So like we were talking earlier, that one, like with the linebackers, is going to come out special teams, and it's funny because Stoll, when you see Arnold, when it comes to kick return, they're back there and like being like one of the few protectors on the kickoff return. So I think right now, and Calcaterra is doing it as well too. So if I had to say it, I think Stoll's your number 2. And I think Ty goes to the person who you drafted, and I think Calcaterra's 3 again. But Arnold may be on the practice squad as a veteran guy.
The other backup position I think a lot of people are talking about is who's the guy after the big 2 at receiver, because we all know A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, they're number 1, they're number 2, but the rest of it seems a little bit of a mess. And right now, the Eagles activating Devin Allen, who, Eagle fans love Devin Allen. He gets one preseason game touchdown. He's a fan favorite. But what is a real legitimate perspective? Because it feels like the Eagles have 200 wide receivers at training camp right now.
Yeah, I think the first 5 are set. And when you look at wide receiver, I know a lot of people follow me as Zacchaeus. He'd be the guy that really challenged Quez and may push Quez out. He fought the ball, catching the ball. He's fought it all, but he's really consistent catching the ball. You see him, he makes some really good sideline catches, and then he'll drop an easy one, or he'll double catch a lot of some of the easier throws as well too. So, and Quez is looking very good in camp early on. He's been making a lot of tough catches and making some big plays. So I think Quez is your 3, Zacchaeus is your 4. Brenton Covey's going to be your 5 because you need a punt returner and you need somebody who can rely on catching the ball in an aspect of the game. So I think he's a 5th one.
Hold on, Chris. Hold on. Is Brenton Covey really the best option for the kick and punt returner?
Yeah, you don't want to turn the ball over. And when it comes to catching the field and those things and getting engaged in the trajectory and making decision making, he's the best one. He really is. And you're not going to see Devontae Smith is only going to be out there in cases it's an emergency. He's not going to be back there the whole entire time. So, yeah, he's your best option. So he's your fifth guy. And then I think Nada's making the push to be your 6th with Deion Kane out. Devin Allen, I think, is more in practice squad. I know everybody likes to see this. They know speed. They would love to see him as a kick returner, but yeah, Nada's trying to make a push for that 6th spot, and he's looked well in camp.
The problem with Allen is that he's still trying to split his life between 2 different sports. And it's like, you would think, like, if this guy actually spent his entire offseason on football and not on track, you have to wonder what he could be.
We saw it against the Browns in preseason last year. We saw it. You had 2 guys on him. He split them, and then he went down deep. And if you get a good ball on it, you're giving him a shot. And I understand why he's doing it, because he's making a lot of money that way. He still could be an Olympian, and not many people can say that. But yeah, the second year in this experiment, he's missed a lot of time. So
right,
and it's gonna be tough to catch up.
Chris, before I let you go, last time we talked, you took my advice. You decided to sit down and watch the Netflix quarterback show. All right, give it to me. What do you think?
I liked it. I really, really liked it, and I'm actually glad I got to see see Mahomes through the Super Bowl. I know it was anticlimactic, especially for Philadelphia. It was a little thing, but I liked the insight he gave toward the end about why a couple of those plays happened. And personally, I never liked to do it. I thought he was making a little bit. I thought once he had an ankle injury, it was all done. And he was coming in, I was like, oh, they should be able to handle that. And to see what he was going through, and and getting back and how he made a couple of those plays in the second half. I really like that series, man. And the fact that Hurts, I would have loved to see Hurts in that, but he's declined it for 2 straight years. So, but I can't wait to see the second season when it comes up out next year.
Well, it's interesting. I don't know if you heard the rumor, but the rumor is that the reason why nobody has admitted to doing the show is because they're trying to keep a secret who's on the next season.
That makes sense. So you get the intrigue, and you don't want to look for, okay, they got cameras running around, but reporters talk. We'll start looking to see, like, wait, this person's not supposed to be here. This camera's not here. Who's this with? We know. Oh, here we go. So if we see a lot of cameras around Saturday with the Ravens, or we see what's next week with the Browns and Washington, yeah, well, maybe they stay clear of Washington for a while. But yeah, see some of the cameras going around somewhere else. Yeah, we'll start picking it apart left and right.
Now, was there anything from the Netflix show observing the Marcus Mariota part that you, as someone who covers the Eagles, takes away from that?
The one thing personally, I think I'm glad there's not somebody who can immediately take his spot right now. It changed to me. It kind of changed the way how it all turned out. I thought he was really going, and it really makes me think as well too, because I know it was frustrating getting injured, but seeing Ritter go in there and take the job and then basically effectively just leaving. And I thought that was kind of rough. I mean, we heard how much he wanted to help Jalen Hurts. I'm pretty sure he's doing that. I'm very sure he's doing that here in Philly, but it kind of questions a little bit now when things get tough. Like, say if I don't want to put this out there in the air, but like, say something happened to Hurts, he's going for a season. You need Mariota, but he's struggling a little bit, and Tarek or Ian Book comes in, they make the switch and starts moving the offense, or say Mariota gets hurt, and is he going to quit on the team again? It's just those questions that it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth after seeing the documentary and seeing everything with it.
See, it's funny you say that, because I took it as, I felt the team did him a disservice. I felt like at the beginning of the documentary, like, Arthur Smith was in his corner and all about him and supporting him. And then by the end of the show, it was almost like the head coach Smith down in Atlanta was like, he almost like turned on him. Like, it was like he almost like started treating him weird. And it felt like to me that like Marcus Mariota had like earned the team's respect in there and as a leader. And by the end, they just kind of like kicked him out with the trash the way they like, because at the end of the day, like, you're telling me that a guy who won the way that he won some of those games last year, you're just going to one day just be like, hey, you know what? We're coming out of the bye week. We've lost a few games in a row. And yeah, we're done with you.
See, I'm in the other court because I'm getting upset. I look at some of the ways that he lost a couple of his games with those turnovers and everything. And like, and especially, we know how bad that South was last year.
Yeah.
Just like if they've won 2 more games in that way, they're in the playoffs. Smith has something to build on even more. Maybe Ritter's not even with the injury, Ritter's not even thought of because you're a playoff team, and all this has changed. And even if he did, I just thought like because other teams watch, and even though he signed here and everything signed there, I think other teams watch that. Other teammates, people around the league start to watch that, and it's like, well, this guy's my teammate. He's going to start doing this. Is he going to go back to Hawaii and start thinking? And it really I think it left more questions about him than it did when it came to answers.
It's interesting. I have two. You and I both watched the same thing. We both came out with a different perspective. It's interesting.
Yeah, that's makes it fun.
Yeah. Now, I said about Kirk Cousins. Did you walk away respecting Kirk Cousins more?
Yeah, I respected Kirk a lot because to start his career the way he did, when you're taking the same time that RG3 is, and you're expecting you got taken, you could have had another experience somewhere elsewhere, and then you build upon it, and you go in there, become one of the top quarterbacks in the league, and then to put yourself and to see all the stuff he has to go through to get his body right, and I'm still hurting seeing some of that stuff. Getting ready. I have a lot of respect for that offensive line, like but and also he has a nice room, shrine to himself too. I like that room a little bit. So I like the jerseys and the game balls and everything. That's
hey, man,
he doesn't add one against the Eagles in there.
It's Andrew Brandt always calls it, winning at the business of sports, the business of football, and I think Kirk Cousins is definitely in the winning at the business of football with the money he's made in his career, right?
Oh yeah, he's enshrined next to Chase Daniels, Carson Wentz. Yeah, those three right there. There's
Sam Bradford
left and right. Oh yeah, I can't forget about that one. He said really funny. Just the Captain Checkdown. Yeah, I would love. I would love to figure out completions per dollar, especially for Bradford, because he just like does a check down safe. Oh, is Marco Murray 5 yard out? Yeah, I'll stick with that, even though somebody's open downfield. Yeah, I'll stick with that.
It's absolutely amazing because to bring it full circle, the year Sam Bradford won the Heisman Trophy, Brian Johnson's Utah Utes beat Alabama in the Sugar Bowl.
Oh man, and I used to use him when I was playing NCAA football. I used to use him a lot, and it's weird now. I see him, and now all of a sudden now being the coach, now it's like, wow, this is kind of it's like surreal. But I'll say this, he still has an arm. He throws a lot of times for those wide receivers when those drills, and I would, if I'm them, like you just need a snap or a series or two. Yeah, that's the one there too. He still has that arm pretty good. I doubt he would want to do that, but yeah, he's still looking good throwing the ball.
He's Chris Franklin at C Franklin News on Twitter. Covers the Eagles for NJ Advanced Media. Check out all of his work over at NJ.com. And he joined us on the Elite Acura Hotline. Chris, great stuff. Appreciate you jumping on.
Hey, thanks as always, man. I appreciate it.
And of course, Chris's appearance here on Game Night on the Elite Acura Hotline. Visit Elite Acura during the Summer of Performance event located on Route 73 North in Maple Shade, online at EliteAcura.com. Back to the text board next, 609-403-0973. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night on 97.3 ESPN.
Hi, this is Billy Schwein from The Locker Room. Join me, former chief of the Longport Beach Patrol, Dan Adams, and former lieutenants from the Ocean City Beach Patrol, John McShane and Jack Brooks, this Friday for 97.3 ESPN's live coverage of the 2023 South Jersey Lifeguard Championships from the beach in Margate.
97.3 ESPN's live coverage of the South Jersey Lifeguard Championships is being brought to you by McCann Realtors of Sea Isle City. Experience the McCann difference. Family owned since 1939. The famous Dino's Subs and Pizza Margate open since 1964. Located at 8016 Ventnor Avenue in Margate. The 7th and 11th Street Bikes, Surrey, and Beach Rentals of Ocean City. Open 7 days a week. And by Blitz's Market. Located at 21st and Asbury in Ocean City. Voted Best Deli 7 years running. Now serving freshly squeezed orange juice. Live coverage of the South Jersey Lifeguard Championships this Friday at 6 p.m. on 97.3 ESPN. Hey, this is Josh from 97.3 ESPN. If your air conditioning isn't keeping you cool, or if you're worried about sky-high electric bills, I recommend you call Jenkins Plumbing and Heating today about a new system from American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning or a Mitsubishi ductless system. Take advantage of financing of up to $15,000 from South Jersey Gas or Atlantic City Electric. New AC system can save you 25 to 35% on your AC bill. Call Jenkins at 609-641-6440, online at jenkinsandsons.com.
This your captain. Better buckle your seatbelts for this one. I saw my passport expired, so I went to Staples, got a passport photo lickety-split. While I was there, I grabbed some tiny travel soap and shampoo. I should have got some for my co-pilot. Just kidding, Brad.
Staples has everything for travel. 10-minute passport photos, luggage, headphones, even personal travel items. And now at Staples, get $10 off your purchase of $30 or more when you buy a travel service. Staples, your first stop to nonstop travel. Ends 9/16. In-store only. Exclusions apply.
0, 0, 0. Get your zeros here. That's a zipper zero zilcha.
No, that's not it. Get low APR financing at Matt Platt Nissan with 0 interest on every new Nissan in stock.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Platt Nissan.
Put 0 down, pay 0% financing, or make 0 payments for 90 days on every Matt Platt Nissan in stock. Plus, with your job clearing $450 per week at Matt Platt Nissan, you're virtually approved. If other dealers are telling you that you're stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trade Man can get you released, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth, and you can't buy a new ride anywhere else with peace of mind, like Matt Platt Nissan's exclusive 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Only at MattPlattNissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag and $589 doc fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattPlattNissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 8/6/2023. It's on at Matt Platt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
So you're in the middle of a kitchen update, and you can't tell if that's a faucet stem or a flange. With the Home Depot app, doing doesn't miss a beat. It'll find what you need in a snap, and it'll show you how to find it in store with a tap. Or get it delivered free. For doing that doesn't stop, download the Home Depot app. It's made for doing.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun. So you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
Now try Babbel free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
O'Reilly. Did you know 1 in 4 car batteries is weak and needs to be replaced? O'Reilly Auto Parts will test your battery for free. If your battery needs to be replaced, our professional parts people can help you find the right Superstart battery for your vehicle and budget. Don't wait. Get your battery tested for free today at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Now, more Josh Hennig, 3 ESPN, and the free mobile app.
Don't forget GameNight being brought to you by Jenkins and Sons. One call does it all. No need to call the drain guy, the heater guy, the plumbing guy. Just call Jenkins at 609-641-6440. If you're worried about your electric bill, don't let time pass you by. Call Jenkins to find out how you can save on your electric bill with a new air conditioning system or updates to your central air system. Just call Jenkins at 609-641-6440 online at jenkinsandsons.com. One of the takeaways I had from what Chris was saying was about, he talked about how with the safeties, how they could play Reed Blankenship as like the deep center fielder and Terrell Edmonds as the box safety. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel like playing Reed Blankenship as the coverage deep zone safety is the equivalent of hoping Jake Cave is a good hitter in the Phillies lineup. I feel like just because he can do it doesn't mean that that's his like default setting. I tend to look at guys like Blankenship as someone who shouldn't be the primary playmaker. To me, if you told me it was like Terrell Edmonds and Sidney Brown, I believe that. I think that's doable. Evans and Edmonds is beautiful. This road is why Evans and Edmonds are playing together. We can't see the is the idea that you have these guys who are too similar to me. I just look at Blankenship and Edmonds as too similar. I'm a little concerned that if you go this too safe of a route with safety, it might not work out for you. It might be a weakness for the Eagles this season. So, thanks, Chris Francis, for joining the show. Because we're doing it on the Elite Acura hotline. All right, Phillies won 8-4 was the final. Zach Wheeler goes 6 innings, 6 Ks, gave up 3 runs, so a quality start, a big win for him. As the Phillies will have another game tonight for the doubleheader. It was good to see the Phillies offense come alive. I thought it was a game that you like to see them have that that offensive explosion. And it's an example of how sometimes you just gotta let guys play the season out. It's a super long season. The most frustrating thing about baseball, and I think it's one of the things that today's society has trouble with, is we are a microwave society. We want our mac and cheese in 1 minute or less. We have no time for cooking. We have no time for development. We have no time for growth. People want it now. They want it here. They have no time to wait for anything. And that mentality that has actually been very destructive in our society. We have become so impatient and so disinterested in listening and consuming and letting things play out. And We want to hear. We want to now. Baseball is all about the journey. Baseball is all about going through the process. It's about playing chess. Baseball is playing chess. But nobody wants to play chess. People want to play. I don't know. What games do people play anymore? Connect 4? Monopoly? I don't play Call of Duty. I'm Josh Hennig. Have a great day, everybody.
South Jersey business owners, when Eagles football returns to the airwaves this season, don't miss out. Make sure your business is a part of the Philadelphia Eagles season with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick on 97.3 ESPN. Touchdown! Every week, the NFL's most passionate fan base flocks to 97.3 ESPN Radio to listen to their favorite team, the Philadelphia Eagles. Advertising with the Eagles can help your business connect with the consumers you are trying to reach. 97.3 ESPN is the most listened to sports source in all of South Jersey. That's what makes 97.3 ESPN such a powerful station for your business's message. So this Eagles season, don't have your business sitting on the sidelines. Be a part of the Philadelphia Eagles season on 97.3 ESPN. To be a part of the Eagles season, call Market President Mike Rubel at 609-910-5249.